What's up, guys? It's pretty much the racing off season right now, and I've been flipping a lot of bikes lately. It's something I've done for a long time, and it's super fun to take an old clapped out bike and make it rideable again and make a few bucks in the process. But today we're doing something a little bit different. We're building a bike for the cheap bike build off of 2026. I have a Marin Bear Valley. It's a 1987. I got it at the Bike Kitchen in San Luis Obispo. It's a really sweet little co-op, and what caught my eye was the sticker that said designed by Joe Murray. If you don't know who Joe Murray is, he pretty much dominated the 1984 and 1985 mountain bike racing seasons. It also had this sweet Sagino crank, pretty good shape. Had these Welgo magnesium pedals, which I thought were pretty cool. Shimano front and rear shifters. Also, I believe those were original. Paint was a little rough, had some rust, some gashes, but cool blue. Original grips, I think. Brake levers and shifters all looked original, okay? Cantilever brakes, also Shimano, also intact. But it did have this funky bike lock mount and this roached out seat, and the top cap was missing off the front derailleur shifter. So first thing we did, remove the seat. Then I took off the bottom mount for the bike lock. Started to remove the top mount, and that thing was really on there. They're a little bit tricky to remove, but once I figured it out, it came apart pretty easily. Definitely had to go though. Now we're moving on to disconnecting the front cantilevers, taking off the front wheel. The rear wheel had a solid axle, which is held on by two 15mm nuts. Luckily, everything was coming apart pretty easily. The chain we're trying to save and reuse. Again, this is the cheap bike build off of 2026. So one of the rules is that you stay within a $175 USD budget. Therefore, I was going to keep the chain. It really wasn't in bad shape. It was moving pretty good. It did have a little bit of surface rust on it, which you could see here, but I figured it would clean up pretty easily. And again, trying to save as much as I possibly could, I decided to reuse the cables and housings. So I cut them as far back as I could. The front derailleur, which you can see here, was giving me a little bit of trouble. I decided to bust out the W40 and let that soak in for a while. And when I came back, luckily it broke loose. So I was able to take off both the derailleurs without too much trouble. And then it was moving on to the cranks. Had this cool Sagino dust cap on it. And there's our good friend WD-40, which I decided to go ahead and pre-lube everything on the cockpit. The brake levers had these face plates with two screws in them. Decided to sort of let those marinate. And the shifters were held on with a pinch bolt, which luckily came off pretty easily. Brake levers had these face plates on it, so they were really easy to take off. Didn't have to remove the grips quite yet, but once I got the shifter loose, it was time to go ahead and remove those. I'll sometimes use a little bit of WD-40 or Windex to remove grips, and then I'll clean them. Then I go back with some alcohol and wash the grips out real good. Here again, we are trying to resave all the cables, housings, grips. And while that's happening, I've got all the parts cooking in the ultrasonic cleaner. As you can see here, the rear derailleur came out looking pretty nice. And back to removing the front brake cantilever arms. Once I got everything all detached, I could take a closer look at these kind of cool design, old school canties. Now the rear brake was a U-brake. It's mounted on the chain stays. It helps to get the bike vertical to work on these. They did come out pretty easily as well. They didn't put up too much of a fight. After that, I threw everything in the ultrasonic cleaner and moved on to removing the cranks. I'm sure you've seen plenty of crank removals before, so I'm going to speed through this and I'll catch you on the other side. So once the cranks and bottom bracket were removed, I was glad to see the bottom bracket shell was pretty clean. Not hardly any rust at all. The headset felt pretty smooth, so I decided not to mess with it. As you can see here, I've got all the parts cleaned up, and there's a few things which I may or may not be using later, but now it's time to assemble. I like to generously grease any parts that are going to be moving. So here we are reinstalling the U-brake. It's a center pull, and again, it's underneath the chain stays. It's not my favorite design, but it does work when it's adjusted properly. Just takes a minute to get everything sorted out, tightened down, and once everything's moving nicely, we can move on and work on the cabling. Here we are in the front, greasing the posts, getting ready for the cantilever brake arms. Same sort of procedure here. Make sure everything's moving nice and smooth. We're going to start to install the mounting bolts now. Get those all torqued down nicely where there's good movement but nothing's hanging up. And here we got a shot with the cabling installed, and we're ready to move on to the cockpit. I've already got the rear shifter on. The rear brake lever was next. These are pretty easy with those face plates. Moving to the rear of the bike, we've got our rear derailleur going on now. I believe it's an original part, so we're definitely reusing it. We're not necessarily doing any crazy upgrades, just sort of lubricating and fixing what's there. Here we go with the first cap of the bottom bracket. It's reverse threaded on this side, so I'm going to make sure it's hand spun before I put the tool on there. I'll make sure it's torqued down properly. Moving on to the other side, pretty much the same procedure. Generous amounts of grease. We're going to install our bearings and axle. And then we're going to do the cup on this side, making sure it's hand spun, threaded just right before we're torquing anything down. Since the front shifter is missing its top cap, I decided to ditch it and the chain rings, front derailleur, and go with a 1x setup. This is much simpler and looks way better in my opinion. Here we go with the Zaginos, single chainring. Moving on to tires. Originally had these kind of street tires on there, and the hubs were pretty rusted up. But after some cleaning, I got the rims looking good. You can see the front hub and the rear cassette all cleaned up pretty good. Had these nice Raya rims. I believe they are original. They are butted, so it's a pretty nice rim. And what I did just for mock-up purposes, was install these Amazon tires. I know it is against the rules of the cheap bike build-off to use any knockoff or Amazon type parts. So these are just here for now while I decide what tires I'm going to be using. And adjusting the U-brake in the rear. Always a little tricky working on it upside down, but I think I got it pretty good. And here's the front. Nice good grip on those. Put the original chain back on. Looks like it's working pretty good. There is a little bit of a kink in the chain, but that's going to work itself out as I ride it. So we're good. Threw this Avocet gel seat on. It's pretty much a dad seat I've had sitting around for a while. And here's the final build. As you can see here, our Marin Bear Valley has a few bits that I thought were appropriate. Make it sort of original looking. I went ahead and installed some Pan-Eraser fired XCs that I've had for a while. Again, the Avocet gel seat. But I think it came out pretty nice. Again, one by Drivetrain. I kept the Welgo magnesium pedals because I thought they looked cool. Got everything all buttoned up and tuned nicely. I even installed this little retro water bottle with the Seatpost sticker on it. Again, here's the decals. I know you can't see it, but designed by Joe Murray and Tanjay Chromo. Here's the Fire XC tires up close. Again, I've had them for a while. They're a little faded out, but they still roll. And I thought they were somewhat era appropriate. The only thing left to do is go for a ride. So here we are, shaking this thing down. It was fun. It actually rode really well. I was sort of surprised. I did this build in 2 days. Third day was the shakedown and photo shoot, which you could see here. I was able to get a few crispy shots for my submission to the Cheap Bike Build-Off 2026. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to vote for me if you like my bike. I'll have a link in the description down below, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.